Don't mess with me, pork chop. What day is this?
It's February 2nd. Groundhog Day.
You know, I thought it was yesterday.
Oh.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and Marvel just announced that Norman Osborn is returning as the Green Goblin in the upcoming Amazing Spider-Man 850. So today I'm going to talk to Larry's Comics about kind of his thoughts on Norman Osborn coming back as the Green Goblin, and also his general views overall on Nick Spencer's Spider-Man. Before that, I am going to read the article from ScreenRant.com that kind of goes into the details of, which is a milestone issue, so it will be plus size, extra pages, extra costs, and all that stuff. And it also goes into some of the details on when the last time Norman Osborn was the Green Goblin. And then we'll talk to Larry from Larry's Comics about Spider-Man 850. Spider-Man's greatest foe, Norman Osborn, a.k.a. the Green Goblin, is returning to haunt Peter Parker and readers this fall with an extended issue 850 of Nick Spencer and Mark Bagley's Amazing Spider-Man comic series. After months of lying dormant, the Goblin behind the man is coming to Marvel Comics. Following Spider-Man's recent encounter with the dangerous vigilante Sin Eater in the Sin's Rising storyline, a more prolific foe of Peter Parker's, Norman Osborn, affectionately known by his supervillain alias, the Green Goblin, will be making his long-awaited return in September. As Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run has been released, the Green Goblin's return is an event that has been hinted at for months by the creatives involved. In preparation for the momentous occasion, Marvel Comics executive editor Nick Lowe has definitively teased through a press release given by Marvel that, quote, "This is maybe the most action-packed and harrowing issue of Spider-Man yet," unquote. Fans wouldn't expect anything less from a story featuring Spidey's arch foe. Marvel's historic Dark Reign event in 2008-2009 saw Norman Osborn take a much more central role in the machinations of the superhero community, while his more sadistic alter ego of the Goblin would take more of a back seat. Osborn not only became more of a threat for his longtime foe Spider-Man, but the Marvel Universe as whole. Long gone were the days of a corrupt New York businessman hunting a lone superpowered teenager in spandex. Osborn would inevitably find himself and his goals of domination cut short by Earth's superheroes before being overcome by the Goblin's persona once again, but not before leaving the world in which the heroes operate in even more damaged than it may have ever been. Following the aftermath of the Dark Reign arc, Osborn's status would rise to prominence once again when the villain became bonded with the Carnage symbiote, thus giving birth to Norman's most recent persona, the Red Goblin. Given that this newest issue, 850, is being heralded from Marvel as a climactic showdown of sorts in Spencer's Spider-Man run, it seems appropriate that the Goblin would make his long-awaited return here. Though Venom and Doc Ock are noteworthy fan favorites, there is no other villain in Spider-Man's fabled rogues gallery of foes who have caused Peter Parker as much pain and misery than the Green Goblin. From becoming the first official foe, to unmasking Peter in his college days, to murdering the first love of his life, Gwen Stacy, Osborn has sent Spider-Man through the ringer emotionally and physically. Everything that Nick Spencer has been building up to in his Amazing Spider-Man run has led to this deadly encounter between two foes destined to battle forever. That is the article from ScreenRant.com. Now let's talk to Larry from Larry's Comics. Spider-Man is coming up on a new milestone event, Spider-Man 850, and we're going to get the return of Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin. Larry, what do you think about that?
Red Goblin, Blue Goblin, Yellow Goblin. Who gives a shit? I mean, what's the next anniversary issue? 875? I mean, 850. That's kind of
$15 milestone, 875.
Dan Slott just mired down in mediocrity for 2 years. He just bogged the title down. And then when he left, he dug in and he just caught lightning in a bottle with Red Goblin. People like the Red Goblin, people like the Green Goblin. I mean, I don't think that's anything to frame the anniversary issue around. I mean, tell us, what's it, 4 years? Kindred. I mean, is this going to fucking wrap up? Or are we just going to get one page from Nick Spencer on Kindred every single issue? I don't know. I think that Nick Spencer, after writing his controversial Captain America run, is trying to just write a drink of water comic book. I mean, take no chances and just write a very safe. Spider-Man is fine.
I did enjoy the hunted story arc, although it's essentially just rehashing, Craven's last hunt. Put a little different spin on it and stuff like that. But I've, I jumped back into Amazing Spider-Man, which I didn't want to do because I do not trust Nick Spencer after Secret Empire. I think he went a little too far with that one, and
he's not doing anything. He is just writing a vanilla superhero story, and that's people. Spider-Man is selling great. People like it. People like Ryan Ottley. I love Ryan Ottley, and I don't love Ryan Ottley on Amazing Spider-Man. When I see his sketches on his social media of Amazing Spider-Man, it is so energetic and exciting, and I fucking love it. That's the Ott Man. But when something about his printed work, it's really, really cartoony, and it just doesn't have the energy that Invincible had and that his sketches have. I don't know of colors. He doesn't. One thing Otley doesn't have is he doesn't have like a thicker construction line for his figures. And I think Marvel is making him draw more backgrounds than Invincible had, and when it colors, it kind of just all washes together, and it just, I don't know. I like it. I don't love it. And like I said, I fucking love Ryan Ottley. I love when Humberto comes on. I love Humberto. He's the best. I like the Kindred storyline. It's just, I mean, 4 years. Fucking let's get rolling. I mean, they've jerked it off too long.
And it keeps getting interrupted by all these big events. It's always tying into like War of the Realms or obviously
Secret Wars, Infinity Gauntlet, Crisis. I mean, that's the nature. That's the nature of the big two universe comic books. When they have the big events,
the series never gets any momentum. Like
Amazing Spider-Man. Do you know the suggested retail of Spidey $8.50? Is it a $10 book? Now, if it's a $10 book, they got to take a page out of DC. I'm telling you, DC's hit the ball out of the park with this $9.99 format. People fucking love them. Love them. The Marvel $10 books is a lot of. They get the splits on the corners. It's just a thicker traditional comic book for $9.99. It just doesn't look as slick and as nice as the DC $10 ones. This week's DC's the Green Lantern $10 format. Fans are loving them, and I'm loving them.
I imagine this will be $8 to $10 at least. But in Amazing Spider-Man, I imagine it's going to be kicking off like a multiple story arcs, and then you're just going to have a bunch of like backup stories that just suck.
Just resolve Kindred. I don't know if that's going to resolve before. Maybe the revelation of who the hell Kindred is enough to carry an $8.50. But Norman Osborn going from the color red that everybody fucking loves back to the color green that everybody fucking loves. That's not a big deal. Spencer's a fine writer for it. He hasn't fucked it up. And I like all the artists involved.
Obviously, in this $8.50, Humberto Ramos will be there. Ryan Ottley, I believe, Mark Bagley.
People like their key issues. It's going to be great. Tell me who Kindred is. Let's move on.
It's got to be Norman Osborn, right?
I had heard that it was going to end up being Gwen Stacy, and that Kindred is somehow illustrated to look like it's a little female body at times, and at other times it looks like it's a male body. So I don't know what's going on. If it was Gwen Stacy, that'd be ridiculous. But
it's comic books. They do. They deal in ridiculous.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But I think Spencer's a super talented writer with all kinds of level and dimension and nuance, and he is trying to not step on anything.
You think he's like shell-shocked after Secret Empire?
I think Dan Slott stepped on it again, and he's on his fucking way out the door. I mean, he just keeps getting taken down a peg. And I don't think Nick Spencer wants any of that. I think he likes what he's doing, and I think he might be working on some creator-owned stuff on the side, and he's just trying not to make waves and just to write a vanilla storyline. Don't piss anybody off.
The sales are certainly going down. I think the last one I saw was 55,000. Of course, that didn't include reorders.
My store community, we were off the charts excited for Ryan Ottley. Marvel gave that great black and white sampler of, Ottley's coming with his raw pencils for the sampler. And then when his work's colored, it's just, I don't know. If I was the editor, I would tweak shit. I would tweak the inker. I would tweak the colorist, because that's Ryan fucking Otley, and the work is, it's just printing so flat. It just doesn't look right. Not
Well, I thought Patrick Gleason was coming over specifically to become the new Spider-Man artist, but
maybe that could be $850. Maybe they could be introducing him. That was a year ago that he left DC. That had to have been.
It's not, because it's the three big artists are Humberto Ramos, Ryan Otley, and Mark Bagley.
Maybe he's drawing it afterwards. I don't know. Gleason's the best.
Gleason is amazing. He's also a good writer. I was hoping he'd get Captain America.
Do you follow Otley on social media?
I do not follow any creators on social media anymore after the last 3 weeks.
All Otley does is post pictures. You know what I mean? He doesn't fucking say anything. He's great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he shows you comic art. He's the best. But follow Otley on Instagram and see his Spidey sketches, how energetic and exciting they are. And they'll just get you blood pumping and excited. And then the issue comes out and it's flat, you know, like I don't know. Something's not translating. And that's the editor's job to, when he gets all those ingredients, to kind of tweak the recipe to get. Ryan Otley is a high energy penciler, and it's not translating to Spider-Man, in my opinion.
So, you know, what are your thoughts on 850? You're excited for this? Do you think this is going to catapult the series, or are they going to have to reboot it again soon?
Here's the thing: as long as an issue contains legacy numbering somehow, I don't care if they reboot. I had heard years ago that the plan was for Marvel to do a Netflix formula where you would get Wolverine 2021. All right, so every January you'd get a Wolverine #1. You could get a new creative team lined up. You get your ducks in a row. You get a new writer, you get a new artist, and they do Wolverine 2020. And right underneath the #1, it says 326 for all the fans to just know that that's just Wolverine 326, 327. And then the next year, if the team is falling behind, you get a new creative team. Fans want consistent creative teams. This musical chair with creative teams on books sucks. It's hard to follow. I don't care about a reboot. I don't care about a reboot as long as it has legacy numbering to it.
I find the reboots constantly it feel like cash grabs. Obviously, it's to get the #1 issue for collectors.
Collectors like #1s, man.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a reason for the reboot, if you have you have Mark Millar and John Romita Jr. coming back to Wolverine, launch it with a #1, and I don't care, but I want to know that that's Wolverine 327 or 328. I want the legacy numbering. Let people know where it goes in the collection. Comic book fans, corporate comics don't realize how great they have it. Traditional comic book fan is so loyal, and they're just great. They should do things for the existing fan base. You could reboot with a giant #1 on the cover and attract all your new audience, but put the legacy number in there for the traditional fans who've been with you.
Also gotta get all those variant covers in there. Nobody wants to buy a variant cover for issue number 9.
But what I don't get is the predatory publishing. Who are they preying on? You don't have to buy anything you don't want. They're offering different versions of covers, and we can choose.
Okay, Larry.
Some variants I won't even.
Let's be honest here. Comic fans aren't exactly the most rational people in the world. If they know that there's a 1 in 100 out there,
some people have impulse control problems, and they buy.
And
all
even
that
if
stuff.
you can only sell 75, but you have that one customer, and if he leaves your shop and goes somewhere else, even though he's a whale, you need to be able to satisfy him, and it is predatory.
You can't place an order for these books unless it makes financial sense for you. You can't put yourself in a position.
I'm talking about the comic retailers that aren't as financially responsible as you, Larry. Some people feel a compulsive need to satisfy their
those people. If they feel that need and they can't like make the numbers work, they deserve to be out of business. That's
I'm not
ridiculous.
exactly disagreeing with you, but it would be nice if Marvel would play a little bit nicer, specifically with the party variants and some of the incentive schemes where if you want this special cover of Wolverine #1, you've got to buy 150% of whatever title. It's not even an X-Men title. You Amazing Spider-Man.
But do Do you know? But do you know? All right. With shipping with Diamond, I've been proactive. I make sure that my books never touch UPS. I put in a ton of work to make sure that to be proactive and make sure that my books arrive at my store the condition I need them to arrive in. With Diamond schemes, you also have to be proactive and game the system. What I do, we do something that we call shuttlecocking. 1 month, the orders will go in through my store. They'll be high or what we need. Then the other store will place an incredibly low order, and we shuttlecock it back and forth just for the Marvel ordering.
You're
schemes.
saying back in the numbers?
Of course, they're smoking. They're trying to take advantage of us, and we take advantage of them by shuttlecocking. You have to.
I'm all for it.
If you're a retailer, you have to be proactive and do what you need to do to make the numbers work for you.
I am completely
get your customers what your customers want.
I can tell you this for a fact, though, and I can show you evidence that when Marvel Comics took the incentive ordering schemes off of Amazing Spider-Man, Immortal Hulk, the numbers dropped by 15,000 and 20,000 in 1 month.
I've said for a decade, the most valuable player at Marvel Comics is David Gabriel. David Gabriel, Marvel editorial will just diarrhea this shit book onto the market, and then David Gabriel has to use his
predatory schemes,
cunning brainiac publisher skill level to create all these predatory
fake
schemes
interest in the book that no one really wants.
To trick all the dopes into make the numbers work. He can tell just how bad a book is for just what he has to stick into it to make the numbers work. He's very smart, man.
Well, that's I would term it another way, but I appreciate your perspective here, Larry. Obviously, we came here to talk about Spider-Man 850. You're very interested in Kindred. Norman Osborn is coming back as the Green Goblin, and hopefully Brian Otley's art gets appreciated a little bit more with better inkers and
it's not just Norman Osborn's coming back as the Green Goblin. So who's going to be the Red Goblin? Is his kid just going to be?
I thought it was Normie Osborn.
Normie is going to be the only Red Goblin then.
He's the only other Red Goblin, right?
Yep. So he will be the only Red Goblin, and his buddy is Dylan Brock, and that's a team. That's a little buddy book. There's a Marvel Super Sons in the making right there.
Venom Jr. and Red Goblin.
Yep.
All right, Larry. I appreciate all your time. I really appreciate it talking about Spider-Man 850.
Books are flying into the stores. If you go to Shop's social media, I noticed in Massachusetts last weekend, like shops were banged out. Store owners were thanking their customers for great days. People missed comic shops. They missed getting out and about. People are bored. Books are starting to get back into the stores. I mean, it's an exciting time. Get out there and have some fun. Pick up. There's a lot of crap on the shelf. Talk to the store owner and see if you can, tell them what you like for books. Tell them what you like for movies, TV shows. They can navigate you into something that is going to be great for you.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, Wes. You're the man.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.